Welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about side hustles. There are so many opportunities in today's age. If the opportunities that are available today was available when I was growing up, listen, I'd be light years ahead of where I am right now. Welcome to my channel, The Business Building Diva, with me, Natasha James, better known as the CEO Speaks. Back in the day when I grew up, if you wanted to make quick money, the side hustles that I knew about was selling drugs, or my parents would have these activities called suppers, which was the adults spend the weekend partying, plates would be sold, and a jukebox would be rented, and you would make money off of those weekend gatherings. But the other option was selling drugs. And I mean, it was mostly boys that were selling drugs, not girls. And nobody wanted to do that anyway. That was survival. That's what we thought about as it pertains to living life and making ends meet. The game has changed so freaking much. There are so many different opportunities right now that at the end of the day, sometimes I find myself asking my own self the question, what are you doing? Why do you work? But the reality of it is that I enjoy working. I enjoy coming to my office. I enjoy being with my staff. I enjoy doing the things that I do. But for the most part, when you look at life and you realize that there are so many other opportunities out here that doesn't require you to go on a 9 to 5, it sometimes makes you question, what are you doing? Because the opportunities are limitless, we have to remind ourselves to stop thinking small. We have to open ourselves up to other possibilities because they're limitless. There are so many things that we could be doing. I mean, everybody is born with some type of skill. If you don't know what your skill is, you just haven't tapped into it yet, but you'll eventually figure it out. Let's talk about the new opportunities that we have in regards to how we are living in 25 versus growing up in the 1990s. I mean, my channel is about going from rags to riches, right? So let's talk about my childhood. What's changed? What happened then versus what's happening now? How are we living life so differently in regards to having money and not being in survival mode? Access. We have telephones, iPads, laptops, computers. We can do stuff on the go. We can do stuff sitting still. We can do stuff wherever we are. There is so much technology that allows us to be able to do the things that we couldn't do back in the 90s. I mean, I can literally do whatever I need to do wherever I am in my office right now, videoing B-roll and my video. Platforms like YouTube, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, have changed the game in regards to how people actually make money. Whereas when I was growing up in the 90s, my first job was working for Kmart. I worked at Kmart after school, and minimum wage was $7.25. Yeah, I know. Can you imagine getting paid $7.25 in today's economy? So when I think about all of the things that I could have been doing back in the 90s that I can do now, it just amazes me how life has changed. So sometimes I wonder, how is it that a person is in survival mode? I understand that as well, because sometimes we realize we don't know how to change our mindsets. Mindset is everything. It's all about what you think and how you think and what it is you think you're going to manifest for your life. When I think about what I talked myself into growing up in my senior book, I wish I had it with me because I would share those pages with you. Manifestation wasn't a word back then. It was a word, but it wasn't a word that people was actually using and talking about heavily. If I did something that I did not know I was doing, literally, and am living those words to this day. And so I do believe in manifestation. I do believe that mindset is everything. I believe that mindset is everything so much that it's in my office. I live those words. I come to work every day reminding myself that if I make myself believe that I'm going to have a bad day, I'm going to have a bad day. If I make myself believe that I'm going to have a good day, I'm going to have a good day. If I make myself believe whatever it is that I want to believe, I am going to manifest that because I refuse to not. My life has been about breaking generational curses, removing the survival mode, and living in abundance. That's what I believe. And this is how I do it. I'm reminded of the struggle that my parents had when I was growing up. I'm reminded about being the oldest of six. I am reminded every day of what survival mode is. I live a very humble life, and I want to make sure that I constantly keep myself at a place where I know that I'm only one paycheck from being where I came from. So in my mind, reminding myself of the struggle that my mother had when she was trying to raise six kids, and along with a lack of support system and not having the resources she needed to make sure that we had what we needed to make ends meet. Those are things that I think I cherish them more than I want to. In a sense, I hold on to those memories because sometimes we forget, and I don't want to forget. I don't ever want to forget. I want them to be reminded that your children are going to live off of my prayers and the things that I've done to make sure that you had the things that you needed as a child, and that I was the parent that I was supposed to be in regards to making sure your needs were met. Social media is the millionaire's playground. Listen, I built the seven-figure business from the ground up, but it is a brick and mortar business. My goal is now to build a social media seven-figure business, and I am determined to do that by any means possible. No, I'm not. I'm just saying I will not sell my soul for money, but however, I do plan to show the world 40 and up year olds belong in this world of social media. I believe that we add value to this world. I believe that at the end of the day, that there's things that the younger generation need to know that we won't typically sit down and tell them, because why? We know why, but we're not going to go there. So I just kind of feel like at the end of the day, these YouTube videos is the key. It's the key to sharing life with those that need to learn without having to share it in person. Because social media platforms are so prevalent today, and this is the new way to the new world that we're actually going to be living in 10 years from now. I need to get on a gravy train, and I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. So let's get into it. When we talk about building a legacy, we're no longer talking about being in survival mode. We're talking about taking ownership of our livelihoods and living the life that we create, not the life that somebody else has created for us. And I think about that along the lines of being free to do whatever it is that you choose to do whenever you choose to do it. But there's a cost that comes with that freedom. And I'm not sure how I feel about that cost, because at the end of the day, there will be haves and there will be have nots. And the have nots will only have not because they want not. So my thoughts is when we think about what we need and how we need it, how we need to get it or achieve the goals that we need to achieve, how will that look 10 years from now, with nobody wanting to work lower end jobs, with nobody wanting to grow food, with nobody wanting to do the things that we need them to do to have a sustainable life. When we think about transitioning from old money to new money, it's always a thought of, I've never had this and I want to do this and I want to do that, and I want to experience this and I want to experience that. I from the standpoint of somebody who's been there and done that, what I'm going to say is to enjoy for a limited time, understanding that at the end of the day, sometimes we need to remind ourselves that, again, we are only one paycheck from where we came from. So we have to be mindful of the things that we're doing, when we're doing it, and how we're doing it, especially if we have children involved. I believe that at the end of the day, although I make X amount of dollars, have to go here, there, and everywhere, and tomorrow has to come. So what am I gonna do? If you're a first generation entrepreneur and you are out here by yourself and you know that you are doing what God assigned you to do, even if you don't know if you're doing what God assigned you to do, keep going. Know that at the end of the day, if this is what God placed inside of you, that these are the words this is the seed that He gave you, and He has planted that. You need to know that He will be your teacher. Even when you don't see a way, He's going to make a way. He's going to guide you along the way. If you get off the beaten path, trust and believe you're going to get back on, where you're going to be back on the path that He wants you to be on. There is not going to be a day that you're not going to have. I'm always reminded of the Bible verse, Jeremiah 29:11. For I have plans to prosper, for I have plans to prosper you, not to harm you. That means that He wouldn't have brought you this far to leave you. The way we make money has evolved, but one thing hasn't changed. If you want more for yourself, you have to be willing to step outside of your box and do something totally different. If this video resonated with you, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because we're on a mission to break generational curses, build wealth, and live life on our terms. Drop a comment below and let me know what's your hustle today. And let's talk about it in the comments. Until next time.